Oh, that was a quick flash.
That was a quick flash. Hey, comic book friends. I'm John. This is Matt. And we are the co-founders of coverprice.com. And we get together each week and talk about comic books.
Except for the last 2 weeks.
Except for the last 2 weeks, because we were busy and it was also a holiday. And
yeah, we had different holidays, not together.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to going on holiday with you, Matt. I mean, you're a fun guy. You're a fun guy. So
yeah, sure. There you go.
Yeah, so it was a good time. But yeah, today we have some fun stuff to talk about. Obviously, the Superman movie took off and took flight this weekend or whatever, and had super results. More puns, Matt? Do you have any?
Keep going. Nope, I like where you're going.
There was no kryptonite seen anywhere in the box office. There was some
every good dog has this day.
Every good, yeah, okay. But no, it was, I mean, so we're going to talk about that. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to get into any of that, then go see it and then watch the show later. Right? Are we doing spoilers? Or are we kind of doing?
Well, we'll call it out. So when we get to a point where we will talk about it, we'll get to a point we need like a little spoiler warning.
Like I didn't know Doomsday appears at the end, for example. Like that was just crazy. Joking.
Right. People are going to be like, oh, that would have been cool.
Joking, or joking. We're still figuring it out. But yeah, anything you want to chat about before we jump into it, Matt?
Hey, Rudy, what's going on? Rudy said, and Black Crown said, what's up?
What is up to you guys?
No, we're kind of, this is kind of like a little precursor. So we're going to San Diego Comic-Con next week. We'll still be here next Monday. We'll do pretty much a prelim San Diego Comic-Con show. Some of kind of like our favorite exclusives. We're also doing a live stream charity a charity live stream
auction
with eBay Live. Yeah, I guess it's auction.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that with Big Clutch at San Diego. And then we're also doing a panel on Saturday at like 4:00. And kind of some of the things we're going to touch upon in today's show is kind of basically what our panel is going to be, which is kind of, launching off of Superman and Fantastic Four next weekend, or the weekend of Comic-Con. Sorry. We're going to really know where both Marvel and DC is going from that point. Spoiler alert, Mephisto finally shows up, but he did, Rudy. He did.
But he was Crypto the entire time was Mephisto.
But Mephisto did show up. Like that joke is no longer applicable because he did show up, not in this film, but he did show up in a recent TV series. Not caught up on that.
Wah.
Did you know that?
No, which series was he on?
Oh, you didn't watch Ironheart?
No. He's in Ironheart. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he appears in Ironheart. Nice. So spoiler busted.
You gotta say it beforehand. Yeah. I can't believe Nick Fury showed up in the end. I know, like what a weird crossover. It's just kind of
which Nick Fury? It'd be awesome if it was the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
Yeah. So again, we are going to talk about Superman. If you haven't seen it, you'll learn a little bit, but it's mostly we're going to.
We'll give a little. We'll say spoilers before we get into it, and we'll.
Before
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, John. So.
Yeah, and likewise. I just want to say thank you to one of the listeners, Chris, his handle is You Need You Want Gifts and Books. Last week or 2 weeks ago, it was Matt's birthday, and we mentioned it on the show. And Matt hates making a big deal about it, but he reached out and just said, "Hey, I'd like to send Matt." You guys were talking about the Rocketeer book, and he sent one to Matt. So that was really sweet. And you don't need to send stuff or do anything like that, but it's
definitely doing
nice.
This stuff. Yeah.
It was very sweet.
But thank you. It was really great. Yeah, it was very nice for sure.
Yeah. Matt, honestly, one of Matt's favorite, I think, just genres was Rocketeer and stuff. So
it was
nice. Yeah, it was a good kind of fit. But thank you, Chris, for that. That was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So just to get into it, so as of now, Superman has earned $122 million domestically, making it the third biggest opening of 2025. It brought in internationally, did about 95. So the global total is around 217. So This is DC Studios' biggest solo Superman debut ever.
Yeah, it beat Man of Steel, which was at like 116 million in
Yeah, and that was
2015.
prime film. That was when films were doing just great. So that was when it did 116.
Yeah.
It's the Warner Brothers' third #1 film of the summer, so they're having a pretty good year. Rotten Tomatoes is around 83% with an A- cinema score. And I want to hear what you guys what your score is out of 10.
Oh yeah, that's actually fun. We'll do that in a sec. But you know what's crazy?
He says Superman is overrated. He's weak AF. Yeah, I mean, there's share your thoughts, but don't get spoilery.
This is a safe place. Share.
So it will kind of get into that. I'm just running through the numbers right now. So it's interesting. So Superman had a very strong debut. So it does mark a win for James Gunn. And there's proof that there's still hunger in the superhero genre, but there's also naysayers that say, was it good enough? It's a good number, but should it have been more, is kind of like the overall estimation, because the people are saying that the marketing budget alone was 100 million.
Yeah, so I did some research before this as well, and like what I saw is, and tell me if you have conflicting numbers here, but it cost about 225 million to make and 100 million on top of that for marketing. So you're looking at like 300 to 400 million dollar cost. So if they can make 500 million worldwide, would be good. 700 million would be amazing, but they're kind of on they're
it won't get to 700. It will, luckily, it maybe will get to 400. I don't think it'll get to 500.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll cover its cost to make then at that point, and that's probably not good for the studios. But I mean, if you think of a genre that's going to last a decade with all the Justice Gang and all that stuff, then
well, this is a film that will do well in I want to say home entertainment. I guess it's still home entertainment, streaming, Blu-ray, whatever. If you're still buying Blu-ray. But it's one of those things where, so that's part of the overall conversation. What does this mean? What does this film mean for the DCU? How does Fantastic Four set things up for Marvel? What does this mean for comics in general?
Right.
So what were your thoughts? How did you like David Cornsweet?
I loved
Corn
Sweat. Did you call him Corn Sweet?
I did.
He is sweet. That's nice of you. No, but Corn Sweat. Awesome. I saw some like interviews with him. He seems like a pretty cool dude. So I don't know. He seemed like, anyway, in his role though, awesome, good. I loved his voice. Like he sounded like Superman when he was Superman. He was, he's big. He's 6'4" in real life, and he was about 190 when he got offered the part. He put on about 40 pounds of weight / muscle / water to fill the suit and stuff. So he really kind of buffed up as these guys do for their role and stuff. But I thought he was freaking amazing. Hit the all the facial expressions, all the little side comments and stuff. I thought honestly he did such a good job. It was fun to watch for that. You?
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier. I go with my initial gut, my gut reaction when I walk out of the theater, and I gave it an 8 out of 10 when I stepped out of the theater, because I did really enjoy. I shelve my comic book thoughts right when I go into these things, and I just go into enjoy the film as it is and what's presented to me, right? And I enjoyed it, in that capacity. As a fun film, as a Superman film, I enjoyed it. It was an 8 out of 10 for me. But then when I start breaking it down in my head, all the little comic book side of things, I start to pick it apart, that's not on the film. I guess it is a little bit on the film, but I start to find its faults, right? And I start to think about those things, and you start to find you lose the little luster of that immediate walkout, which is why I always rate it in my mind as soon as I walk out to what it settles into. And I kind of knocked it down to a 7 out of 10, just as I overthink these things. I know Free Keys was mentioned, and it's like Hot Girl was one of my least favorite parts of
Yeah, I didn't like they added the whole, okay,
the
spoiler.
Banshee scream.
She had
Yeah.
like a banshee scream to sound like a hawk, and I was like, that's not needed. It's not
Yeah,
needed.
I did not like that at all. I was like, can we stop? Can we not do that?
But somebody else on our team loved it. Bobby was a huge fan of that. It was like her
But he
battle
did
cry,
enjoy it.
you know. But
And
Bobby
it's
really
funny,
loved Bobby loved it like a 10 out of 10
he
anyway.
did it. He did 10 out of 10, which is totally fair. There's a lot of
There you go.
what was that?
Dan is saying that he liked the screaming. He thought it was a good addition, made her fierce.
Totally. And it's so funny because there was we asked the question of like what was your opinion on our Instagram? How did you like the film? And one person was like, I hated it. It was like an animated show come to life. And another person was like, I loved it. It was like an animated show that came to life. and it's interesting, like, you know, where you're saying the same thing, you watch the same thing. My trappings come over to some of when I start to like pick apart the plot, right? Like I was like, I know that here's where we'll get into spoilers, so we'll get into spoilers now, and we'll maybe wave when there's no more spoilers. So if you guys haven't watched the film, mute it.
It took me a second to get the hot girl. There you go. Okay.
There you go. I guess before we get to spoilers, I will say that I know people were concerned about all the extra characters. In my mind, once you had the presentation of all the events that happened in the film, I was like, oh, they could have put more in here. Yeah, like you could have, like it kind of seemed a little. Here's what. Okay, let's get into spoilers now. I felt it was like a little lackluster to have 3 people in this Justice League, you know, sitting in the Hall of Justice, right? It was like, okay, we need a little bit more here. And I know they're just kind of setting things up. My biggest thing that I was picking apart was the overall plot with Lex. I thought it was a little simple, even though he was doing this thing to draw Superman out. I thought his plot of taking over this country to kind of rule as its quote king was a little simple. And I didn't like Lex's ultimate portrayal. I kind of, even though he's kind of blinded, he's still one of the smartest person in the DC universe. I think it goes Mr. Terrific, Bruce Wayne, Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. I think Lex Luthor is only kind of knocked down because he's so driven by ego, which you can explain away a lot of the end events. But that was kind of I started picking apart because I would have liked at the end if Lex Luthor kind of just got into the car and kind of just smiled. And
like there was some sort of like secret, like he was playing 3D chess, right?
This was exactly what he wanted. That's what I think would have been really cool, because characters like him and Batman, they're always 5 steps ahead, right? Now again, you can argue that Lex Luthor is too driven by ego and his desire to kill Superman. That could have, like, he may have not had an end game, but I still thought, like, you know, there's these characters that were Nicholas Hoult is officially the best version of Lex. I didn't not like his version of Lex. I didn't like the crybaby version at the end.
Yeah. Well, no spoilers, you know, in a sense, but like it's not a spoiler. But
no, it's not a spoiler. We're
like, yeah. Is he the best Lex Luthor? I mean, Tom Welling, Gene Hackman. You know, I mean, I liked his aesthetic the most. Like he looked like a badass, like petulant kind of like super villain. And he had the smarts, and to your point, Matt, you're right. Like he doesn't have the smarts, but they're showing stuff in the film that is like really fun, and you get just dropped right into a world that already exists. There's already metahumans. There's already teams. There's already like history with everybody. They're all friends, not friends, and it felt like a comic book. The visuals, the colors, I love one thing that always kind of annoyed me, but I thought was kind of funny was that like how they're in the metropolis and like there's a 5th dimensional imp, there is a giant kaiju, there is like all this stuff, and everyone's just watching. All the like, instead of running away, everyone's like having a hot dog, and I thought that was hilarious because it's kind of like, well, yeah, if you live in the super world, there's always this crazy stuff happening around you. So they kind of really did a good job world building. You know, I don't know. Overall, I think we all had a favorite part. I'm going to share my screen in a second. I think we could all say that Mr. Terrific definitely stole the spotlight, and the fight scenes with him, the technology that he, his T spheres and stuff, and just the way he just handled everything.
Yeah, I wanted more
awesome.
of them. Like,
yeah, I wanted a standalone Mr. Terrific movie.
Yeah, I could have had the whole. I was like, the whole film could have been him. Although I will say that I did like how Superman was portrayed. I know Freaky is saying that he was a little weak, but there's some element to it where it explained things away a little bit. Like there was the things that were happening to him that made him weak. It wasn't that he's weak directly. It's kind of the things that were, kryptonite, whatever, all the things that are surrounded him are a little weak. I think it was more, you could kind of explain them away. I did like his take on it. I did like that he's, when you go back and you look at the animated shows of Superman and versus Batman, you have this positive, go-lucky kind of superhero in Superman, right? And then you have this dark, brooding Batman, and you have literally Metropolis is bright and sunny, and you have Gotham that's dark and gloomy. That's how it was always in the comics. That's how it was always in the animated series. I assume that's where they're kind of going with this. I do like that a lot.
Let me ask you about the costume. So underwear on the outside. What'd you think?
There's no that didn't really bother me, actually. When you're watching it, because we've seen it in the comics for so long, so we're kind of used to it. So it doesn't. I wasn't thinking about it during the movie at all. So
there was one scene where he was walking, and I saw that, and I was like, what else would be there? It makes sense. The Henry Cavill like Superman, where it was just blue all the way down, looked kind of like a leotard, right? So it was nice. It kind of broke it up. I didn't mind the underwear on the outside.
Yeah.
There's some talk about what books started taking off because of this, and JSS Brooklyn is asking about the Milkbone books.
Sure.
Do you want to get into any of that, or do you want to go to the top 10 and just talk?
Well, a lot of it's going to be covered on our top 10. You can go to it if you want to cut to the site.
Yeah.
So the site definitely, I think, what 13 or 14 of the books are DCU related. Yeah. I know 11 of them are directly Superman film related. And like here's some important things to remember. You would think that you'd see the first appearance of Crypto. You think you would see the first appearance of Supergirl, but those are two very expensive books already, right? Yeah. You're not going to see a lot of these moving in the market because they're not cheap. And this market will always go for cheap, meaning people will grab books that cost as low as possible and buy them up, and that's what creates this increase in heat. Is basically people buying books that cost $5, and then they move up to $10, $15, $20. That's where a lot of the top 10 books come from, is because those are immediate traction. They move in volume and they start increasing in price. Top 10 loves that stuff. A couple of these were free books that you could have got just walking into the theater. I know the number one book, there were like 90 plus copies that moved for that. That was the IMAX free issue for the first day of release. If you went there, I did hear from even our internal team that they went and they were gone. Like before they went opening day, and they said they were already gone by the time.
I didn't get a book. I went opening day.
Did you go IMAX?
Oh, I didn't go IMAX. No.
Yeah, IMAX AMC. Yeah, I'm sure AMC's had them. I don't know if they did or not specifically. And it's an okay cover. It's one of those books where it's hot right now, and it'll probably drop down to a $5 book, and then in a couple, because this is what happens. This book is moving in volume, and it's went up in price because it went from the price of $0 to $20. And then everyone's going to say, hey, I have this book, I'm going to move it too. And then, there'll be more copies listed. So this is one of those. Yeah. The Milkbone book, so that's been on and off our top 10 since that book came out.
Is that this one right here, the number 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, again, I'm not a huge fan of this cover, but it did have $1,000.
Jeez.
But a lot of people are like, it was an actual sale. It did happen. Is it? I think the next sale after it was, if you go into the 9.8s, John, I think there was another sale that happened after that. That was more like 300.
305 too. Yeah, you're looking more at like a 300 to 350.
Yeah, so it was an interesting jump, and people aren't quite calling foul, but they're raising an eyebrow to it for sure.
I mean, we verified that one, right?
We verified it. Yeah, it happened. It sold. It was paid for. So
what was the deal with these? You had to get something from the Milk-Bone thing.
So if you ordered a box of Milk-Bones off of the Milk-Bone website, this came. It came with this free book. Now they came loose, so condition has been pretty spotty. Most people that I know did not get a great copy. I know I bought one box, and my copy is definitely not 9.8.
Was the comic in the box?
Yes, just bopping around in the box.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Does it smell like dog biscuits?
No, because the box doesn't smell like dog biscuits. It's not, until you open it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm thinking just like I don't know, something. Okay, I don't buy dog biscuits.
It wasn't in the box with the dog biscuits. It was in the box with the box of dog biscuits. It was in a box with the box.
And okay, got you. But it's kind of cool. That reminds me of like a Saturday morning opening up the cereal box and getting a prize.
Well, the reason why I got it is because I really love, if you go back to the history of or at least the past 20, 30 years of comics, some of the best books that have trended in the aftermarket are some of these mail-aways, right? Whether it was they came in a board game, or you had to send in a voucher to get that book. There's a Wolverine Nabisco variant. A lot of these books, anytime you have to do something by this much, like grab these many UPC codes, mail them into this with your address and $5 and shipping, whatever the requirements are. Those books tend to do pretty well. There's some that don't do well, but the thing with this book, which was odd, is they kept opening it back up, so it would sell out, and then people were like, "Oh, that's it." Then it would land on our top 10, and then it would be available again. And
well, they're doing a variant of this cover, the Milk-Bone cover, at San Diego, but it's like a color shift kind of thing.
Yeah, if you click on it, if you keep on that page, just open up a new page.
Here you go.
Is it down there? Oh, they didn't add it yet.
Yeah, it's in the list, but yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna be at it, but yeah, they're doing I think it's a free version that they're handing out at the WB booth. So that'll be interesting if it does anything to that. I mean, both have high print runs overall, but as JSS Brooklyn said, most are like low grade, which is why I think that 9.8 sold for so much, because someone was just dipping into it.
Oh
yeah, that Hulk cover is kind of nuts right there. It's so funny. It's like Superman books and then this one random Hulk Wolf book. But yeah, you see what it's selling. It's a 1 in 25, and it's selling for $200.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Why is that? What's going on? First appearance of the new Warwolf. Okay.
Yeah, we need Lefteros we need Lefteros to come tell us exactly what's going on. I didn't read it, so I can't speak to it specifically.
Well, I can tell you it's about a wolf. He's got armor. He does war stuff.
He's new.
Yeah. He does look good. It's good design.
I can't really speak to it, but yeah, I mean, it's a crazy hot book. I mean,
side note, I love werewolf movies. Zombie movies, but there's different werewolves that have like different aesthetics and whatnot. But the werewolves from like The Howling or Ginger Snaps or any of those like ones where they do the transformation and they don't turn into a wolf, they look like a humanoid wolf. Amazing. All right, that was more you know about me.
I did get official numbers I did hear some official numbers on the print run.
While Matt's looking that up, go ahead and do your.
I say wishbone, but it's not wishbone. What is it? Now I have wishbone in my brain.
Milk-Bone.
Milk-Bone. I was like, wishbone's the salad dressing. But it's so funny because I keep having wishbone in my head. and not the little dog detective.
So while Matt's looking that up, put in your numbers. What are you gonna? What did you give Superman out of 10? 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
So here's what was told to me from, I think, DC. They said they did there were 3,000 total, and they did 3 rounds of sales where they released 1,000 at each time. Or I think the last time they broke it into 4 rounds. So I think there was 4 rounds actually. So I think there was 2 rounds of 2,000 or 2 rounds of 1,000 each, and then 2 rounds of 500 each.
Oh wow!
So I think there were 4 rounds. I don't know the exact amount, but they did confirm that it was 3,000 printed. So
I'm putting in your number, by the way, Matt. You said 7 out of 10, right, for Superman?
Yeah. But you know, it was only because I'm just picky with superhero stuff.
Well, you know what's funny is we were doing the numbers earlier. I left at a 7, and I was like, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's campy. It's whatever. And unlike you went down in your rating overall. I actually went up to an 8 because I'm like, you know, it was fun. It was cool to see. It had everything I wanted in this. I had the flying. I got the big fight scenes. I got the heat vision. I got the the evil genius. Yeah, so I went up a little bit, but it was a good movie.
Freakies is 3.5 to 10. So that means does that average out to a 6.6,
6.3 ish?
I mean, it's interesting because
sorry, I just saw Rook Pieces. Freakies is Lex.
I mean, here's a good question for Freakies. Was he a fan of the Zack Snyderverse? Because a lot of people who were huge fans of the Snyderverse really didn't like this version because it's so completely different, and it is a lot softer. It's a lot. It doesn't hit nearly as hard as Man of Steel did.
I mean, but that was like such a dark tone for DC. Like all of Wonder Woman and Superman versus Batman. Like it was more like Christopher Nolan-y dark Snyderverse, kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Do you like the more connections to the comic books and the more playfulness? Because my critique would be that a lot of people who don't read comics think that's all comics are. They always think it's like, oh, comic books, that's for kids. That's just like, colorful and whatever. And I'm always like, no, it's so much more. And it always pisses me off. I wonder, maybe this is just a way to relate to those people or not. But yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Freakies liked it more than the Snyderverse stuff. Well, that is interesting. So while it wasn't a perfect movie for me, it's easy to pick it apart. Like I even picked it apart. Like there's little moments where I would have liked less humor, right? Like when they're fighting the interdimensional imp and Green Lantern, hitting it with a bat. It's funny, but like here's the thing with Guy Gardner, he is pretty badass. Like he is, even though he's kind of like this walking joke. He is very formidable, which is why he's a Green Lantern. He is the epitome of will, right? He's just.
Did you know the backstory of how Guy became instead of Hal?
Go for it.
Yeah, no. So when the alien came, I forget the alien's name. I want to say Abin Sur, but that's like Apocalypse's name. When he died on Earth, the rings saw 2 suitable people who had the will to wield it, but Hal Jordan was closer. And Guy Gardner was actually he was an ex-military guy, I think, but he was also a coach, like a PE coach.
Right.
And when Hal died and everything, then it went and found him and brought him in and stuff. But yeah, I just thought it was funny because there was like 2 suitable people on Earth at that time.
Yeah, and he was good when he went into the battle, when he went into the war, and he was cool then. That's the thing. It's like you got to choose a lane, right? Is he a joke or is he lame? Like, and I think you could kind of do. You kind of have to. That's my thing. Is like I feel like when creators go into this world building, you have to go in and do your high school list. Here's the most intelligent. Here's the most attractive. Here's the most powerful. Here's the best dressed. Like you go through and you do your list of who's the best at what and who's the worst at what. Who has the most limitations? Who has the most to lose? Who's the most tragic character? You go through and you set these rules and then you know how to handle those characters. Like with Lex, you know he's the second most intelligent person in the DC universe. You have to go in thinking like that person. What are they going to do in all these? How does that character act in this world? How does he stay ahead of everyone? And there's just little things like that. Same with Guy Gardner. What's his tone? What's his backstory? How badass is he? Is he a joke? Is he cool? Like, I know the hair thing makes him a joke, but it was like you saw these moments of how badass he was. Now, like Mr. Terrific, I think they handled him. Like the humor was there for him. Like I thought it was right there with the garage door opening really slow, and he's just like, I haven't just got to it yet. Like that's fun because it doesn't demean the character, but it's funny, right?
You know the backstory of Mr. Terrific?
Just go for it. I know.
No, it's because it's kind of fun. There's a Golden Age hero called Mr. Terrific.
Oh yes, the original, yeah.
Who was all like super smart, had multiple degrees, and he just wanted to more challenging stuff. So he started crime fighting and everything.
Right.
No powers or anything, but just like was a badass Olympic, whatever. And so when I forget Mr. Terrific's real name, the new one. But he always had the fair play thing. That was his motto. And so this Mr. Terrific modeled his look after him after he was asked to kind of become a superhero because he was like, oh, okay. I forget why he made the move, but he had like multiple degrees and he was like, super smart and capable, but he wanted to model it after, I think the Spectre or something came to him.
His real name is Michael Holt.
Michael Holt. I think the Spectre or something came to him and said like we need you to, fulfill that. And so he came in and was like, okay. And then anyway, so he's like the second Mr. Terrific, but he did a homage to the first guy with his outfit and everything.
Yeah, he's one of the characters that Batman won't mess with. Like he has no backup plan for Mr. Terrific. So there's a reason for that. So I think you have to set these ground rules, and I think they missed some going into this film.
Which one do you think he missed?
I feel like Lex Luthor wasn't. Was off his character ultimately, by the end. I think Guy Gardner was off a little bit ultimately.
Okay, a little too jokey, a little too powered down.
I liked Supergirl. I'm interested to see where they go with that. James Gunn explained it away where she's seen all this. She saw her world and her family die in front of her, and then was not a baby sent away. She was herself. And landed on alien Earth and was kind of stuck there. Like that's what the next film will kind of go into. So she's kind of like a tragic character that's kind of finding redemption. I kind of think that's interesting. So it was nice to see. I think she looked really good in the costume. I think she'll be ultimately a good Supergirl.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to introduce her. I mean, definitely anti-hero-y, kind of like tragic, kind of like partier who's just like dealing with stuff.
Yeah,
but it was fun to see. It was totally fun to see.
What was it? Pete Holmes when he does his when he does his Batman and he like Lois is around and he called her, what is it, that sassy brass or something like that. I forget his line in it, but he had some comment about Lois. Jimmy Olsen being a player is funny.
That was pretty funny.
Marvel does suffer from the same thing for sure. I feel like Marvel paid more attention at pre-Endgame. Like there's one of my best things that I'm sure you guys have seen on social media of Tony Stark always learns his lessons. Those always pop up of how every film, a lesson that he learned in the previous film, they don't point to it, they don't highlight it, but they just show you it, that he always corrects his mistakes. He always learns from his mistakes, and those corrections are always visible in the next film. I feel like they paid a lot more attention. Marvel paid a lot more attention, but from what I was told directly was that Disney put a lot of pressure on Kevin Feige to really blow up this Marvel universe and expand the TV, which they did the same thing with Star Wars. And they oversaturated and they stretched him really thin. They stretched all the creatives really thin at Marvel, and that's where you got all this weak content that we saw post Endgame. So that was really interesting to me.
I gotta say, Free Keys has got a lot of good takes today.
You know what? I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, definitely. I think more of us would watch it.
Free Keys, you could be running DC right now with that idea. Like if you said that, I'd be like, I'm there. I'll buy a ticket right now.
Oh, that's a good point, Terry Floyd. Yeah, it really made like Lex's arm piece side candy lady like dumb. But then again, she was acting dumb, right? Spoiler, because the images that she sent that kind of helped the plot develop and everything. I'll try not to
she was the real hero of the
yeah, but she was ditzy and clingy and all that stuff, right?
The Paris Hilton Supergirl. Yeah, I think she's fun. I said now I got Sydney Sweeney. Now I want Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, now you know if she could only. I think she's in a Supergirl, a Spider Woman contract deal for 5 more movies. I don't know.
No,
I think she's.
But she will be in Barbarella, which I think will be a lot of fun.
Oh, is she Barbarella?
Yeah, Barbarella. That's going to be. That's going to make $1 billion right now.
Yeah, done. Take my money.
Well, you saw her soap, right? The soap that that they did with Dr. Squatch.
Yeah, where they put her bathwater in soap.
Yeah, the bars cost like what $5 or $10 a piece, and they now still sell on the aftermarket for $500 a bar. Like it's just crazy. So yeah, partnering with her is not a bad idea.
Let me ask you, what do you think about this? So if this is going to be the world that DCU is now in, right, with James Gunn doing this thing, like Mr. Terrific movie, another Batman movie, do you think this is the aesthetic that we're going to get, like this kind of happier comic book-esque kind of
tonally? I like Superman a lot. I think he's an interesting version of the character. He had a lot more character than most Supermans. I do like the limitations, which will make when he is at full power or stronger, which will make him more badass. To me, Superman is best when he's countered with Batman, because their stark differences and their friendship, like has always been probably my favorite thing in comics as a whole, is the two of them together, because they're just so literally night and day. Like one of my all-time favorite animated series moments is when Superman takes a peek at he's like, okay, Bruce Wayne, and he's like, oh, you peeked. And then you see Batman calling him, and he's like, say hi to Lois, and he like what, and you see him like across like multiple buildings and with binoculars and just waving at him, because he like tracked his flight pattern. And so like, that was I always loved that give and take with the two characters, but they were always kind of also there for him. And I loved how Superman gives him like the kryptonite ring, and like he's like, you're the only one I would actually trust with this, to actually if I need to be taken down, that you will do it. And so I've always liked that relationship between the two of them. And I kind of can see that happening in this film. A good Batman is going to be key, I think, in this. If it's a bad Batman, it won't work. But I kind of have faith that they're going into this proper. I kind of do think it's an animated style DC, the DC Universe Unlimited style of the universe that they're building. And I'm kind of here for it. There was some rules that they kind of missed out. I think a lot of them they can correct if they're thoughtful about it. You can correct them in the next film or two. But also the real test is Fantastic Four, because Marvel needs a win in a big way.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yes. I mean, Marvel needs to get back on the tracks. And I think you're right. The DC, like this could work, especially with the Batman-Superman relationship. Just to go to Free Keys' comment real quick. Guys, I mean, it made the top 10. First appearance of Clark Kent's hypnotic glasses. You're saying, how did Lex Luthor not see him? He's got hypnotic glasses on.
Yeah, so they brought that into canon. So it was canon in the comics, and of course it was kind of retconned, I think, post what's the event where all the worlds collapse? Oh my god, Infinite Crisis. I think all those wonky kind of Superman abilities
Mhm.
kind of got reduced and retconned post Infinite Crisis. But it is interesting that it was exist. So I don't know if you read it there. So I read that issue because I wanted to figure out how to properly give that a a key designation. So it's never been said hypno-glasses before in the comics. In that issue, Superman is trying to determine why he's losing his powers in the comic, and people are like, there's this scene at the Daily Planet where he's like, oh, there's trouble, we need Superman, and they're all like, dude, we know you're Superman, you're constantly like running away, changing and then flying, we know this, just we know who you are. And then Jimmy rips open his shirt, he's like, look, you're Superman, just go. And he's like all perplexed, he's like, well, how did you know it was me? And they're like, it's super obvious. And he realizes that he was losing some of his powers, and that the effect he has this hypnoblast that is able to like, he didn't realize it was kind of one of these after effects when he would use his hypno ray, that the lenses in his glasses that were pulled off of the windshield on his rocket, it's like he's like, they just so happen to be in the shape of an eyeglass, like and so he wears them as glasses. And so when he uses his hypno rays, the kryptonite glasses essentially retain some of that hypno effect.
That would be like you going through your baby stuff and being like, I'm gonna make this this toy into something. Like Superman uses his spaceship and his the thing he was, the blanket as his cape, like the symbol on his chest. Like he uses that way too much. There'd be like nothing left of that.
Yeah. The one thing that it didn't address in this film is like, you look at a character like Mr. Terrific. His T-spheres could have like just facial recognition would know who Superman is instantly. I mean, they did say in the film that they knew who he was.
Yeah, that was a funny scene. I like that whole. Yeah, he's Clark Kent. Yeah, he's Clark. Yeah, he told you guys.
but with facial recognition, you'd think there would be some kind of. So they never explained that part, but the hypno glasses were mentioned in the movie.
Yeah. And just to go back to that real quick, I think this is probably I forget what character this is in but doesn't that look like April O'Neil?
Like, that's
Lana.
Yeah, Lana. Yeah, that's right, Lana. That issue is really funny. If you want to read it, it's a very wonky. It's Superman in his head. He's like, why do people keep recognizing me? And then it actually in that issue, it shows through his hypno glasses how other people see him, because he has, like, I think Jimmy Olsen draw him like a sketch, and he's like, oh, that's how you see me. It's like he's thin, he has like, different hair, and he looks older.
You're gonna use hypno glasses, be more attractive. Right. You want to draw attention, I guess.
So if you guys haven't read that issue, it's actually a pretty funny issue.
That was in 1978 when that one came out.
So that was a wonky time. It was still kind of for that age. I mean, people were doing some mature things in comics, and that issue was very golden age. It read very golden age, which is interesting. So overall, just to kind of break it down, I think we're the interesting test will now be, can Fantastic Four break Superman's record, right? Will Superman's success help Fantastic Four? Or because I kind of feel they were both at the same point. Fantastic Four is at this you don't know exactly where they're going to take it, right? It's based in an alternate world, based in a decades ago. It was take place in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, but it feels like 60s with future tech kind of stuff,
right? Like whatever that environment is, like 60s, is like it's our version of the 60s with future tech. And how does that carry over into the modern Marvel world? Where is Marvel going ultimately? Well, it's kind of Fantastic Four will be kind of a new I think, a new starting point for Marvel. And I do think Superman was successful in kind of starting over. The next film will be key. I think they said it was the next films are Swamp Thing, and then no, Supergirl, Swamp Thing, and then Wonder Woman. I think those are the next three.
Oh, I forgot that they're doing a Swamp Thing here. I'm slow to the beats, but here you go. Here's your Fantastic Four shot.
Fun. You got to sing it. You can't just say the word Fantastic Four.
Can you sing it for me?
Fantastic Four.
like an angel, like an angel.
Right. I mean, they say it like 20 times in the film. I didn't realize that. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, wait, Ben Grimm the thing is really small. But in the 60s version, in the original version of the Fantastic Four, that's his size. He's like, right, that is what his size was.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay.
He does look small though. You'd expect him a little bit broader, a little bit bigger, but yeah. It's interesting.
So they're also doing Clayface. I know we have the Authority. There's Brave and the Bold, which I think that will be the introduction to Batman and Damian. So that's kind of interesting because you're jumping. If Superman's been around for a couple years, you're jumping into a Batman universe that's 15 years in for, I think 15, 20 years. No, probably about 15 years into the overall Batman lore, if you take his age into consideration. So it'll be interesting to see how they are shuffling things around a little bit in terms of the timeline.
Yeah, but that would that's a fair point.
So they Zombie Tramp. Dan, this is good. This is gold.
More of this.
Just keep naming roles for Sydney Sweeney.
Vampirilla. What's that Capcom character? The girl who's the cat.
Felicia. Oh, she would be a good Felicia. You're right. Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, she would be a good Felicia.
And now that the show digresses into where do we want to see Sydney Sweeney play?
The thing. I mean, anything other than what we were given in God, what was the name of that film? Madam Web. Oh my God, Matt. Yeah. So after watching Madam Web, I was like, this wasn't a superhero film. This was just a bad movie. Like there was no superhero-ness in there other than this. Yeah, I'm not going to go into a Madam Web review, but that was the one film I was like, oh, this is as bad as people said. There was no redemption in that movie at all.
It's movies like that set everybody, like people who don't care, and it's movies like that oops, sorry.
Rook said she's already played Felicia. Yeah, kinda. She literally played it for 2 seconds and a still frame, or there was 3 seconds of moving. Oh no, wait, did she play Felicia? No, she played Spider-Woman. That's right.
Yeah, but it's bad, right? I mean, like it's one of those like Sony movies that like Craven and all that stuff that are standalone that they hope will hit somehow, doesn't connect to any universe, loosely follows any type of storyline comic book thing. It's like, I don't know why people haven't learned that like that doesn't work anymore.
You know what I appreciated of this film? We did not get a freaking repeat of Kryptonite exploding and the rocket coming and the baby. Like, we didn't get that origin that we keep.
But plot twist and spoiler. What did you think about the whole like Jor-El and Laurel or whatever? Like their whole like, oh, you're actually here to destroy humanity kind of thing.
So that was pulled from, I think there was a Mark Waid comic, right, where he kind of made them in that sense. I like it. It breaks character a little bit, because if you go back to the origin of like Krypton, Jor-El was pushing against the leaders of Krypton, telling them we need to leave, we need to get out of this planet. It's gonna get destroyed. We're all gonna die. Like, they were good people trying to do the right thing, right? And that was their I don't think they did find an Earth where he would flourish, right? But I don't think it was designed to have them overthrow it. So I kind of felt like, they kind of retconned a little bit. I don't hate it, but I also think it's kind of out of character for them.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird because like now that's canon for the DCU, and for all the movies moving forward, they'll probably keep coming back to that and be like, well, you shook what you were supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It kind of puts a darker spin on it,
Well, I mean, why would they want to repeat the sins of the people that they were trying to? They created the rocket to get him out of here and save their people. And they thought they were going against all the things that all the people on Krypton were doing, right? They were being too authoritative in the world and not listen. So like to repeat that on another planet seems a little silly. But in the sense of if it was like, hey, redo Krypton, here's all of our knowledge. Mm-hmm. That sense of like kind of redoing the planet to kind of part of the planet to kind of form Krypton, I think would have been interesting.
Well, that's what was it Zack Snyder who did the Superman Birthright or whatever, the Henry Cavill, where he used the Codex and they were trying to repopulate with Zod and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's also part of like in the comics is why Kandor exists, because it was, like, hey, we'll do Krypton, but it's now going to be in this little tiny version, in this miniature Kandor version. I don't know.
I don't know. A Kandor-sized Superman probably could still do a lot of damage.
I would really love if they can get to the Man Who Has Everything, which is one of my favorite Superman stories.
I don't know that one. What is that?
So Mongol, I forget what issue it is, but Mongol has, I forget this creature, I forget the name of the creature, but he puts this creature on Superman and makes him live out his best life. Like his parents are still alive, with his foster parents and his actual parents, and Krypton is alive and thriving, and he's with Lois, and they have kids, and like he's happy. And so when he snaps out of it, he's like, you made me feel this, like you took this away from me. He almost kills Mongol. That was the first time where he kind of really gets dangerous.
Yeah, you can't take stuff away from Superman. He doesn't like sharing.
Well, those are the times he snaps. Like he kills Injustice League is also really good. If you watch the cutscenes for Injustice League, I mean, he snaps because Joker kills Lois, right? Or he makes
Wonder Woman. He doesn't he kill?
No, so
you're right. Yeah, Lois, and he goes,
yeah. He makes Superman kill Lois.
Dark.
And he just snaps. That was. I would love if they would go that direction eventually. If they can do some Injustice League, oh my god, that would be so much fun to see. We're getting too geeky.
Yeah, but no comics. Like, drop the link. Let's read your fan fiction. Is it a video? Is it just? I love that stuff. Send it to me, john@coverprice.com.
It's just porn.
It's just the raunchiest Kryptonian porn ever.
and then he thrusts.
Like, this is exactly what I wanted.
Lobo comes in for a threesome. Whoa, I like this.
My wife, shut up! I'm reading. It's for work. But seriously. Last 2 videos at the channel. Okay, we'll check it out.
So I mean, there's a lot of things. I know a lot of people have strong feelings about it, whether they loved it, hated it. Overall, I think it's going in an interesting direction. I'm excited about the future of the DCU. I hope they learn lessons from them of what to do better and what not to do. I want them to really make sure there's less humor. Like I would like from them to pull back on the humor a little bit, or find those little moments like they did with Mr. Terrific that doesn't take away from who they are as a character.
Let's look at Suicide Squad versus Guardians of the Galaxy versus Creature Commando, all James Gunn, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Guardians was too funny, but it worked because it was just stupid. You're in space, kind of funny. Suicide Squad was a little bit more serious, but still funny, right? Especially the latest one, the last
Yeah,
one.
that's what the Suicide Squad. I couldn't enjoy them because it was too much. It was just a straight comedy, and I didn't enjoy it as a film. There's moments of it, but
I got
I
one
haven't
for you.
gone back and rewatched them just because I was like I didn't enjoy the first round.
What about Peacemaker, the TV show, the series?
Again, it's
It was funny, but it was good. It was like it wasn't like just slapstick. It was like it was serious, but like stupid. And
yeah,
I thought that was good.
but it's the same thing. Like that's everyone's fear is that you can do that, compartmentalize it as what it is. I don't want a whole world of that, you know. That was the thing. And I think a lot of people have the same sentiment. Is it's great in its own little nuggets, but if you apply it to everything, like tonally, it won't work for Batman. It won't work for Wonder Woman. Can't work for them. You can have humor, but not in that James Gunn style humor. I don't want to see it in Batman. So
McCartney says Jason Momoa as Lobo was should be good. He's sad that he didn't make a cameo. I mean there was already so many characters. I'd hate to have just cameo. Like it'll be good to save him, but yeah, he's going to be fun.
Dan said Robert Patrick's best role. What? More than Terminator 2? There was no bigger film for me as a kid than Terminator 2. Terminator 2 was one of those films where I could have watched it 100 million times. Like I could. There's no end to how many times I could have watched Terminator 2 in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those movies where you walk out of the film and you're like, that blew my mind of what a film could be. Right.
God, if I could get back to teenage John going to a movie and just being excited about a movie, like
Jurassic Park, Terminator 2. I mean, all this stuff was just like you're like, this was more than you could have ever expected. Right? It overserved. Which is why we come into these films so hard as adults now, because you're like, they were so good when we were kids. I mean, The Crow changed my life, right? Like,
was the 90s the best decade for movies ever?
Well, a lot of those conversations are right now, like especially Quentin Tarantino said, like you'll never get what we had. He was like, I thought the 90s were junk in terms of films, and now in hindsight, it was one of the best decades for film. And you'll never get the type of films that you had there, where a lot of filmmakers could kind of take chances, do new things, experiment. Like Eric Proess also did like Dark City, and I love Dark City. You would never see Dark City made today. There's so many films you could go into. The Crow probably wouldn't have happened today. They did make Crow, and it
trying to, but it's all whatever.
I don't know. It's just at the same time, it's a privilege to see a Superman film, and it's a privilege to be able to pick it apart. You know, I'm glad it exists. I had a blast seeing it, and even though I'm harder on it and picking it apart after the fact, I still really enjoyed my theatrical experience seeing it, and I'm excited about the future.
I think
with reservations, of course, and I will again judge everything that comes out. But that's the fun of it. That's what I enjoy doing, is being a comic geek over this stuff. We're lucky.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like when we were kids, we would never have seen a Spider-Man swinging through Manhattan. We never would have seen Batman a fight scene or Superman flying. Like cool, you know. I mean, like Chris.
We got Spawn and Tank Girl. That's what we had.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they tried. They sure tried. But like now with technology, what we do, the maturity of the genre and of the film industry and TV, like, yeah, you're right. It is a privilege to live now and to actually kind of be able to rip apart movies and, and speak good about movies. But it's freaking cool to see, you know. So
the fact that we can go in there and it was like, oh, I wish they would have done this. I wish they would have done that. I mean, like, how many times am I going to watch that Mr. Terrific scene? A lot.
Every day for the rest of my life.
I mean, I still go back and watch Endgame scenes from Endgame all the time, probably once a month. You know?
Oh God, that movie, yeah, tears, like tear. It was so good. It was so
and
good.
I know they were doing fan service, and I know it was intentional, but it was everything. It was so good.
For sure.
Anywho, I know we got to go. I got to
On
go.
that note, thanks guys for letting us just kind of dish about Superman. It's fun just to kind of just be a fan and talk about that stuff. The San Diego comic list, the exclusive list, will be launching. Matt, do you want to give a little teaser?
Saturday, yeah. So we're going to be launching the list Saturday. It's only going to be for premium members for the weekend, just to give them a heads up. Kind of trying some things out. We're giving some stuff to the people who actually pay for the site and giving them a little heads up. And then it'll be live for everyone on Monday. So we're gonna announce it on Friday. This is kind of a soft, unofficial announcement, and then they'll have access to it starting Saturday morning. We're kind of doing a little bit differently, where we used to every book would have its own entry. So now, instead of seeing, for example, 10 different tidal wave books with the same treatment or different treatments, it's now going to have one entry and then listed under that all the various treatments that are available at what price. But you can still go into the book and see the different covers. They just won't be in the list, so it doesn't overwhelm the list, which was a lot of people's complaints, is that some of these books would have so many covers that it would take up the whole page. So we're trying to get away from that.
I mean, Matt's predicting over 1,000 exclusives on this list. So
I don't know, Terry. I don't know if Shabina's there. I know her person's there, but I don't know if she's there.
Who? What?
I don't know. I could be Sveta Shabina.
Svetlana?
No, Sveta. She's awesome. Her stuff is great. She's extremely hot right now. But we'll see. I could be completely right. Oh, Terry says she's not there.
And don't forget also that I think Thursday night we are going to do this big auction again for charity. We try to do giveaways with the eBay platform, and unfortunately they can only kind of accept money, and it always goes out of control. So we're just going to lean into it and do a charity auction for Comic Book for Kids. So we're trying to raise more money for those guys, and it's going to be cool. If you can't make it to the con, we're going to have some of the hottest exclusives there. Matt's always a good soothsayer in terms of picking those up. So we're going to give away about 25 books. We're going to auction off 25 books. So we'll make that announcement next week as well. Yeah. And if you're at San Diego, as I've always said, come up and give Matt a big hug from behind. And
no, stop saying this. Why do you keep saying this?
I find it funny.
Do not do that.
Please don't hug Matt. Hug me. You can hug me.
Awesome sauce. No, we don't do a list for everything, because we don't have a price guide for action figures. So we don't do one. We only do the things we're tracking, which is standard comic books.
We could do one, but it'd just be on what John and Matt like.
Yeah.
No one cares.
I will say that I do plan to go. I've been asked to stop by the Hasbro booth. I do want to stop by the Mattel booth, because they have this Jaws Hot Wheel set with the shark, like the boat sinking, the sharky in the boat for the Jaws 50th anniversary.
How does Hot Wheels have anything to do with Jaws? And where's a car in that? They're in the ocean.
It works. You should see it. It's okay. Awesome. I want that a lot. And there's also, I'm a big Elvira fan, and they have an Elvira Monster High doll. I'm like, I might need to buy that, but we'll see. I don't have any other dolls here, but it might be time to buy a doll.
Matt's other room is just filled with dolls, people. It's
I know, that's right. But I probably won't, because I also don't like carrying things around the convention. When people hand me like a print, I'm like, I just give it back. I'm like, I don't want this.
Matt's insulting is what he is.
No, I don't like carrying it around. Anyways, we gotta go. I gotta go make dinner.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for the great conversation. It's cool to chat with you all. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next Monday.
See you guys.
Keep those comics covered.